Hello, everyone. We start our de facto review for this week. With me, Jargal Tampatarja. 3 specific topics we have selected from the last week. First, another constitutional amendment draft law is ready. It was submitted already. Second, about the petroleum refinery project of Mongolia. At what stage is it now? Third topic is about investment law draft is ready and being discussed all around the country. So these are 3 topics we'd like to share with you this week. First, about constitutional amendments. Mongolia is amending the constitutions in 3 years or so in a row. The reason is the People's Party has absolute majority in the parliament, and it's the only chance if Mongolia can change the constitution, make amendments, necessary amendments in their constitutions. This time, the main point of this amendments this time is to increase the amount of seats in the parliament twice. 76 current amount of the parliament members. 76 will be by the system of majoritarian system of vote. The 76 will be proportional. So these are new major amendments of this time of the Constitution's amendment. This draft was prepared by the government, by the cabinet, and the cabinet secretary, Amarbay Sagalang, had submitted it to the speaker, Zandang Shatar, last week. So the government hopes that it will make a much better political system in the country where the more quality laws will be adopted and there will be more serious, more solid, approach to the drafting any law in Mongolia. His argument is, on the average, Mongolian cabinet has always 15 or so members. And last amendments allowed them to have, we call it double del, or parliament member can be a cabinet member. If out of 76, 15 also has a double del, or also not only parliament member, also a cabinet member, then it is the monitoring by the parliament of the cabinet is not sufficiently enough, they find. And increasing twice the parliament members will have better representative principles, or meaning that all strata, all layers of the society can have own representatives more than before. For example, the herdsmen, people with disability, or women, they would have more chance to be represented more duly, properly in the parliamentarian system in the country. And they expect also the the quality of law draft will be much better, because now if any standing committee having 11 members, if 6 of them are more than a half, 6 of them are there, then the law can go through to the parliament discussions, plenary discussions, which is quite a small number. Only by the 6 parliament members, this is not enough. Does not reflect all opinions. It is the quality they assume there will be now. If it is twice more, much better. The other thing is there will be less concentration of power because it will be dispersed among 2 times more members, or 150 members. But we talk about only this number of seats. But however, this time, this Constitution's amendments includes, for example, the several things like, for example, the rural recovery policy. It touches the issue of too much concentration, or Ulaanbaatar traffic jam, addresses this issue. And also it changes the nomination term of constitutional court. And also they will put back or read off the previous 2019 amendments about the amount of political party members to get registered their political party. So this kind of changes are also there. But what is missing from the original idea of amendments from 2018 is originally the idea was to have more parliamentarian system rather than not presidential system, as we find Mongolia is also a semi-presidential system. So the idea was to get elected the president from the parliament members. So this idea is not at all now in this amendment, and still the issue of the quasi-power of the president is not addressed this time as well. And down the road, one day, it is to be addressed somehow. The other argument was, with the democratic constitutions approved in 1993, that time, one parliament member was supposed to represent 27,000 voters. That's why it was 76 parliament members. Now it is being represented by almost 45,000 voters, almost twice more. So that's one of the strong arguments I put together to increase the amount of parliament members. The draft says that it will be 50-50. 50-50 majoritarian proportional system. However, the Democratic Party, which, by the way, finally got united seriously or solidly last week, they have held their National Policy Committee meeting, and the new head of the Democratic Party, the former Education Minister Khan Tumur, and former Justice Minister Temujin made statement on the Constitution's amendments last week. They said that we prefer to have 60% of the parliament members to be elected from constituency, 40% by the list or proportional. So that was the Democratic Party proposal. Along with that, they have some 18 proposals they have made, and some of them definitely will be somehow reflected in the new amendments during the plenary sessions, I think, next week in the Parliament. Not to change constitutions or to make any amendments, it should be discussed very widely by public, and this requirement provision addressed, according to the cabinet minister, that there were held 22 discussions, debates in 21 IMAC and 9 districts of Ulaanbaatar city. In total, 6,000 people have participated in person, and 5,000 were, they sent also their opinions, and altogether some 34,000 people's proposals are included in the new amendments, they say. So that's what is going to happen in Mongolia in terms of the legislative system of the country. I have two concern on that, as well as many people already expressing their concern. One is, say, the government is going to be twice expensive, in particular Parliament. In 2022 budget, the Parliament had got 22 billion MNT, which is going to be now 45 billion MNT. And it was per Parliament member 24 million MNT per month, which is going to be increased now, the total cost twice. Second concern is the current state palace where our parliament, president, cabinet are coexisting inside together, nearby, next to each other. Now, one of these institutions has to move from the state palace because they cannot accommodate 150 parliament members. They have already scarce conditions for that, but it means that we need either to increase that state palace or some of these powers will move out of the palace. But another decision is probably will be made either Constitutional Court or the Human Rights National Commission may be moved to another city, Darkhang or Irtinet, maybe another city. So this kind of shift is going to happen in Mongolia soon. So this is our first topic. Our second topic for this week is about the refinery project, Mongol Refinery Company. This is a Torn Qabi Aimak, Altang Shire Som. There is now big, the refinery is being made. And this refinery project is being financed by Indian government. It's a line of credit of the Indian government and around 2 billion MNT. 2 billion US dollar loan is started being used, and the total capacity will be 1.5 million metric tons per annum capacity, and the oil will be brought from Tornodaimak Matat Som, where we need to make more than 500 kilometers long pipeline. So it's one by one now. Last week, there have been substantial, big milestone of this project as it had started EPC 2 and 3. There are 4 phases. EPC is engineering, procurement, construction. Engineering, procurement, construction 1. 1 includes non-technology facilities, their constructions. It is started in 2021, and the third quarter of this year it will be completed. This is infrastructure, railways, road, the making flat, square, all land of the location, etc. And all this project will be finished soon this year. Now, last week we have there was a big ceremony where the Indian ambassador was there, local governors, many parliament members have participated, and they have opened the EPC 2 and EPC 3. EPC 1, I talked about that. EPC 2 has the major technology facilities will be made, including this pipeline. It will also, within this APC 2, there will be air and vacuum refinery facility and saturated gas separation facility and other supportive logistics facilities, constructions, including 49 storage houses, product loading and unloading wagons or railway cars, and flyover, we call it auto estacade facilities. This is APC 2. It started now. EPC 3 is we talk about the electricity, heating and steam power. 35 megawatt power stations will be made there, and the generator of steam turbine generator is being made by German Siemens company, and steam boiler is being made by ThyssenKrupp, also Germany. They have been produced now, and altogether this part of the project will be run by Indian company called Mega Engineering Infrastructure, which won the tender. Also in this phase, there will be the pipeline, as I said, a 530 kilometers long pipeline for this relatively high viscosity oil of Mongolia, which is being now exported from Tarnot Matate, Sum. It's 19th block of petroleum block of Mongolia, and it's been now transported all the way through the Chinese border in the east by trucks until it comes to the Chinese refinery beyond the border. Now this pipeline will be made. The tender was already done, and the Norinco International Corporation, Chinese state-owned company, will started already the work at the end of last year, and now they start the pipeline construction. And the pipeline construction detailed planning, detailed scheme was made by a Canadian company called Warley Parsons. And so there will be 6 total pumps, 4 of them on the way at 2 ends. Because the high, as I said, viscosity, they need to heat the crude oil to the 70 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees, and on the way there will be 4 on the way from A to B point, 4 pump stations, pumping and heating stations, which will heat to the 70. And that pipe, it's just one pipe, 300 millimeters pipe. It will be under 3 meters down under the ground, which will not make any issue for animals, for eco-related concerns. So this, what's going to happen now? EPC4 is now, the company for EPC4 is already also won the tender, and they are now making agreement with the company which win. They don't specify the name yet, and this is about the refining facility itself, because each process of this refinery from the beginning to the end all has on a license, know-how licenses, and technology-wise, and you need special permission from the who owns the copyright of those facilities. And this is internationally accepted rule, and this is the way how the refinery will be finished. And the project, this milestone of the process was very much highlighted in some Indian media, and some high-ranking politicians of India, Indian media, it was rather well reflected, the project. So, but there are 2 concerns on my side. One is about do we have enough oil capacity, crude oil capacity to meet the demand of this new refinery, which is 1.6 million metric tons per annum capacity. Why? Because the Chin Tamsaga, which is now, as I said, exported by trucks, their export shows that they are not producing that amount now recently, though in 2012, when they have approved the production sharing contract, the draft was saying that from 2018 there will be this amount, 1.6 million metric tons per annum production. So based on that estimation, the new refinery is made. So this is a first concern, and according to the law, this production sharing contract with the Dachin Tamsik. By the way, the Dachin Tamsik bought this oil deposit from Soko International, American company, who had discovered oil there, started to produce. So then it was bought by this large, huge Chinese state-owned enterprises. So Dachin Tamsik has to sell. Mongolian government takes which is taken now, takes own share of oil, and then also they will buy at the international price from the Chinese company in order to supply that new refinery. This is one concern. The second concern is Mongol refinery company, state-owned refinery company. That's the name of the Mongolian side of the company. Was given a particular license for exploration, further development, maybe production of crude oil on the site just next to the current 19th block of Dachin Tamsak. So hopefully they will do the refinery, the exploration work on time, and there will be a good guarantee of supplying the remaining part of the whatever, whenever it is not enough, to the refinery of crude oil. So that's my brief about my topic about Mongolian refinery. And by the way, if it is successful, then we will really 100% replace our supply of crude oil from Russia, which will decrease substantially our dependence on that. Our third topic today is about the draft law on investment. Draft law on investment is replacing previously the law called foreign investment law. And though it is not specified by the name, but it is actually about the foreign investment to Mongolia. We have a new Minister of Economy and Development, and who is responsible now for foreign direct investment into Mongolia. And they have been working for last year and have prepared long-awaited investment law draft, which is being discussed now, started to be discussed now all around the country. And last week, one discussion has happened, larger size the discussions had happened, and it was foreign embassies, international organizations, some investors, NGOs, and local representatives have discussed the draft of the investment law of Mongolia. They have been first about giving some current situation with the foreign investment, which I will share now, and then they specified in which particular issues the new amendment is addressing. So some information about the current foreign direct investment to Mongolia. Since 1990, since the democratic revolution in the country, total around $40 billion came as foreign direct investment to Mongolia. If provided that the economy today is around 15 to 16 billion USD, then it's a relatively substantial amount, and the majority of it, more than half, even 70% of this foreign direct investment is just one project, Oyu Tolgha. That's why Mongolia needs new Oyu Tolgha, and the way they find the better way to attract that amount of foreign investment in years to come. The peak of the foreign investment was in 2011, when Mongolia had experienced 17% GDP growth, the highest growth. Since that, it has declined, and now it's eventually, gradually, a little bit coming up. But 90% of this foreign direct investment, this $40 billion is only in mining sector. And in fact, mining sector is the only sector where so far we can attract large amount of foreign direct investment. And it is always a substantial part of our GDP composition was the foreign direct investment. 2005, it was today there are some 250,000 legal entities in Mongolia, out of which around 10,000 only are owned foreign direct companies, and out of this 10,000, they have own subsidiary, and altogether it comes even more than 10,000 foreign direct companies, foreign companies in Mongolia. So that's the situation. What kind of issues they address? They are 8 major changes in new draft. 1, removal of restrictions on investment. This issue is addressed seriously. 2nd, addressing issues concerning the land acquisition. 3rd, introducing investors' grievance resolution framework. 4th, provide conditions to resolve complaints through international arbitrations. 5th, the rights and responsibilities of government organizations will be defined clearly. 6th, restrictions of tax disparities and ensuring equal rights. 7th, remove overlapping state supervision and inspections. 8, simplifies the process of obtaining visas and residence permits. So within this 8 framework, there will be substantial changes in investment laws of Mongolia. I will make comment on just a few of them. You can see the draft law on the Economic Ministry website. The first of all, about this removal of restrictions, we have a threshold of $100,000 per investment or per investor. If it is 4 investors, then each is to invest $100,000. But in the process, we noticed that it is not that substantial. Not substantial. It does not encourage foreign direct investment to Mongolia. So there were statistics like this. There were 136 countries, according to UNCTAD statistics, attracting foreign direct investment. And out of this 136, 24 countries have investment entry requirements, like Mongolia, a certain amount of money to be invested in order to have the status of foreign direct investment company. 112 countries have not any restrictions. So that's why they want to limit the restrict or to change completely, just to have few the stamp, just law stamp duties requirement as far as the payment concerned. 350,000 stamp duty, which is around $100. In Europe, for example, it's around $300. So this kind of changes will be made. In terms of the land, they address also issue concerning the land acquisition. Nowadays, the foreign invested enterprises have no right of owning, possessing lands. They are only for 5 years licensed, use 5-year use license, and it can go all the way to 60 years plus 40 years the extension. So this law will be more clear soon. So this is addressing two of the issues I just briefed you about, and there are another 6. And in general, I find it is now becoming much easier to invest in Mongolia. However, there is not clear differences between foreign investment and the domestic inside Mongolian investments, where there is a principal differences, because foreign direct investment is some investments coming to the, basket. The other domestic investment is what's happening inside of the basket. So anything that is coming from outside to the basket, we believe it is of huge importance, because foreign direct investment brings 3 things. One is financial, money. The second is know-how of technology, process, etc. The third is management. So these are 3 additional factors the countries receive with the foreign direct investment, and it is also the case of Mongolia. And but down the road, one needs to make clear, because in terms of tax, many things is still to be clear in that sense of making difference between two kind of investments. So this concludes my this week de facto review, where I have discussed with you first three issues. First, about the new constitutional amendments on now. The second is about the refinery project, new milestones happening in Mongolia. The third is about Mongolia is discussing now new draft law on investment, actually. So these are three topics we have shared. Thank you very much for watching me, and see you next time at the same time on the air. Bye. За болчлоо. Ёо өнөөдөр чинь